Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm elated to see everybody in the audience. As you know, this is the oratory contest, and we have five lovely contestants willing to show their works and compete. To start off the night, I want to introduce Mr. Ezekiel Hunt. He is a junior psychology major, and he was the first place winner of the 2023 essay and oratory contest.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, contestants and judges, visitors and Panther family alike. I'm Ezekiel Hunt, winner of the 9th annual essay and oratory competition. On this conclusive day of Black History Month, we bring you the 10th annual oratory showcase. Last year, participants such as myself gave voice to what it means to claim your freedom as a people delivered from bondage in pursuit of liberty, humanity, and jubilant justice. So today, we will continue to carry that baton on the relay to liberation by exploring the theme of African Americans in the arts, bearing sorrow and finding joy. Long ago, a man I quoted in last year's speech, Frederick Douglass, was introduced to a marvelous new technology in photography, the daguerreotype. Through crisp, silver-lined images, the daguerreotype photograph was able to capture an undeniable, unfiltered reality. Seeking to pierce through the forces of suppression, stereotypes, and misconceptions, Douglass took full advantage of this technological innovation and became the most photographed man of the 19th century. This is a limited example of the use of expression and representation to challenge disparaging narratives and display one's unfiltered humanity. Our contestants today will speak in depth about an array of African Americans who have dealt with abuse, disenfranchisement, trauma, and silencing to find themselves and give voice to the voiceless through various mediums of art. As the reigning champion of this evocative event, I would like to give my best wishes to our contestants and my salutations to our esteemed judges and all those involved in putting this ceremony together. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for those welcoming opening remarks. So now we can't get started with the night without introducing our wonderful judges. So next up, we have our 91st Miss Prairie View, Miss Nia McNeil, who will give an introduction of our oratory showcase judges.
Good evening, everyone. I am Nia McNeil, a junior computer science major with the concentration in cybersecurity, humbly reigning as the 91st Miss Prairie View A&M University. And I have the honor of introducing the judges of the essay and oratory showcase. These individuals have taken out time of in their busy schedule to participate in this wondrous event. So when I introduce you all, can you please do a little wave just so everybody knows who you are? First up, we have Dr. Jolie Rock. Charles H. Luter IV. Emetri Matheson. Renee Smith. And Dr. Clarence Talley, Sr. Thank you all so much for your contributions to this showcase.
And now for what we've all came to see and what we're waiting on, the actual orators. First up, we have a sophomore psychology major, Miss Allonah Ashworth.
Art and music is like a woven tapestry with thread of sadness, triumph, victory, and tribulation. From those who fought for our rights to those who became icons, the story of resilience rings through time. Despite the focus on activism and the significant contributions African American artists have dedicated that need to be noticed, African American artists have grappled with the realities of being oppressed and marginalized for generations. From slavery to the civil rights era, their voices have been tools for protest and defiance. Icons such as Langston Hughes, Maya Angelou, and James Baldwin have transformed their people's struggle into poetry, literature, and essays that have exposed the injustices of racism and discrimination. The artists included in Sam's collection powerfully evoke the themes of both universal and specific to the African American experience. Many reflect the tremendous social and political change that occurred from the early republic to the Civil War through the rise of industry, the Jazz Age, the Harlem Renaissance, post-Years War, and the Civil Rights Movement to present-day questions of personal identity and racism. The creative works of these artists have served as calls for change, pushing against established norms and advocating for equality. Music has always provided a space of comfort for African Americans. African American spirituals, gospel, and folk music all played an important role in the civil rights movement. Singers and musicians collaborated with ethnomusiologists and song collectors to disseminate songs to activists both at large meetings through publications, and they sang these songs for multiple purposes: to motivate themselves through long marches, through psychological wars, and ultimately against harassment and brutality. Sometimes to simply even pass times when waiting for things to happen. Artists such as Jacob Lawrence and Romare Bearden visually depicted these challenges and victories of life through their colorful paintings and collages. Their art stood as a testament to the strength of resilience of a community determined to overcome obstacles. In an era and time of having no voice, African Americans were able to use their profound talents and abilities to expose the daily adversity African Americans and men and women pursued during the civil rights era. Jacob Lawrence was an internationally recognized artist who depicted the social and historical experiences of African Americans. His work, Soldiers and Students, painted in 1962, conveyed both the terror and anger that many people felt during the process of school integration. Similarly, sculptors like Augusta Savage and Elizabeth Catlett used their skills to create representations of beauty and pride, challenging social negative stereotypes against African Americans. Despite facing hardships, African Americans also discovered solace and motivation in the realm of creativity. Music and jazz emerged as a source of hope and strength during these times. Icons like Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, and last but certainly not least, Billie Holiday, each and every one pouring their emotions into music, turning their pain into melodies, resonating with us and worldwide audiences all over. Emerging from the grounds of oppression, African Americans began to embody resiliency. Resilience is the pride and process of outcome and successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, or behavioral flexibility and adjustment to external and internal demands. The blues genre, rooted in the experience, served as an outlet for sorrow and celebration of communal resilience. Visionaries like Alvin Ailey and Katherine Dunham transformed performances in theater and dance by blending American elements with modern choreography. Dancing, bridging Black and white cultures, rewrote the choreographic canon by intertwining European American linear styles with Black Africanist qualities and structures. Their work showcased the beauty and richness of culture in mesmerizing ways. Their work and creations have become symbols of pride and empowerment, motivating generations of artists to walk the path. Today, the Black community is located in all four corners of the world, and their work, aspiring from pop art, African art, classical art, and has begun and will continue to receive the praise it deserves. The lasting influence of artists goes beyond their artworks. African American artists have used art to preserve history and community memory, as well as to empower cultural movements. Their efforts have allowed generations to continue advocating for justice and equality. Movements such as the Harlem Renaissance, the Black arts movement, Afrofuturism, and all the rest highlight the significance of American creativity on a global scale. Through their expressions, these creators have built bridges, promoted solidarity, sparked dialogues about race, identity, and more importantly, belonging. It has been scientifically proven that music is the catalyst for unity and a stimulus used to combat trauma. Music helps patients cope with emotional trauma and physical pain to feel more confident, joyful, and more importantly, connected. Not only providing healing for the mind, but healing for our soul. To conclude, the artist's perseverance showcases the human spirit's unbreakable resilience, from enduring oppression to celebrating resiliency and unity. They have made a mark on our history's tapestry. As we ponder their contributions, let us remember the power of art and change, fostering connections across divides and changing lives through their expression. Be it through words, music, dance, and cultural expression, African American artists remind us that in our moments there is hope, beauty abounds, and a brighter tomorrow always awaits. As someone who has organized the first cultural showcase at Prairie View A&M University, I, Allonah Ashworth, have witnessed firsthand how art can foster unity within our African diaspora upon campus. The hard work put into bringing this vision to fruition, cultivating within the showcase that premiered this February 21st, 2024, has highlighted the enduring impact of art in promoting unity upon our campus. Already, we are witnessing an atmosphere of diversity and inclusivity where marginalized voices are now embraced. This has led us to bonds and solidarity through shared expression and appreciation of our roots. Thank you so much.
Okay. So our next contestant is Bertrice Askew, a freshman marketing major.
Hello. In America, autism is often perceived as a disease that you do not want to be born with, rather than a unique aspect of someone's identity. When someone in the Black community is autistic, it is often overlooked or dismissed. Not recognizing autism makes it harder for Black people that have it to fit in and be accepted. In 42 years, I will be 59 years old, the same age that Thomas Wiggins was when he died undiagnosed and labeled as a talented fool. In the early 1800s, it didn't matter that Wiggins had the mental capacity to memorize 10-minute conversations with ease, or that he could compose beautiful musical pieces. These were irrelevant traits to those that oppressed him. Oftentimes, African American children go undiagnosed or receive a diagnosis much later in life compared to children of other races. Going undiagnosed can strip an autistic person of the fair treatment that they need in the early stages of development. You go so long lacking your label that people start to hand them out to you. Growing up, I couldn't tell you the amount of times I was called weird or slow or, my personal favorite, touched. When I was a child, I noticed that old folks use that word a lot. Not quite dumb, but not intelligent either, just touched. Thomas Wiggins, formerly known as Blind Tom, was blind, autistic, African American, and raised as a slave. Born May 25th, 1849, Wiggins was immediately labeled as worthless. In 1855, his former owner sold him off because of his disabilities, both physical and mental. At that time, autism didn't exist, or at least the label didn't. Instead, people like Wiggins were cast away and lucky to even be considered property at all, much less a person. Of course, his true worth was not measured by whatever price tag his former owner gave him. With time, the disdain that he received from multiple people propelled him forward. Wiggins grew to become one of the most popular musicians and composers of the 19th century. Wiggins lived his life the only way he knew how, through the piano, through music, through sound. Running his fingers over the keys day in and day out, it became clear that this was his language. From a young age, I've always been different. I operated on a strict schedule, had several hyperfixations, even ate my food a certain way. This was my language. But the difference between Wiggins and I is that I had a support system that listened. I still remember the night Mama handed me my chart. I was 17 years old, and as I looked down at what she held in her hands, I laughed. The envelope was opened already, naturally, because privacy is a myth in Black households, and my mail is my mother's mail, all the same. The packet that was going to determine my true label was neatly tucked in that manila folder. I wouldn't be slow or weird or touched. I'd have an official label, or even better, no label at all. Maybe I'd finally be normal. There was nothing wrong with me, I said as my hand shook. I've always been different, but autistic never. Me? Uncertainty wrapped around me, and yet I repeated, there is nothing wrong with me. November 24, 2022, I read the words on those pages, and with tears coating my brown cheeks, I said, there is nothing wrong with me. And there isn't. I grew to love who I am and what shapes me. I had a luxury that not many Black people have. The luxury to receive my diagnosis before 18, to receive one at all, actually. Thomas Wiggins did not have this luxury. By the age of 6, he was playing piano and composing his own music. By 9, he was sent around America to play in his own concerts and events. He could produce any song that he heard almost instantaneously. He could produce this, and yet he was still a talented fool. He was even invited to Washington, D.C. by President James Buchanan to play the piano, becoming the first African-American musician to play in the White House. Assuming that he wasn't taken advantage of would mean sugarcoating and nitpicking history so that it fits my personal agenda. I will not mold his story into a pleasant, happy ending. Due to his limited emotional development, he was unaware that he was being exploited for profit that was going towards a Confederate cause. June 14, 1908, Wiggins died without proper love, patience, and care. At 59, Thomas Wiggins spent his last days on earth playing that piano. During his time here, he experienced racism, ableism. He felt sorrow, and he knew pain, but he also made history. Thomas was creative, talented, Black, artistic, and autistic. People like him show autistic Black people like me that the impossible is possible. No matter how many years pass, one fact remains: excellence lives within us. Prairie View A&M University, I see it. I see the passion, the culture, the blood of our ancestors running through our veins, and the courage that it takes to excel. People like Thomas Wiggins provide us with hope, hope that we might find joy and prevail. He serves as a tribute to all autistic African Americans, whether we are diagnosed or not, that we may celebrate our excellence and our ability to achieve the seemingly impossible. Prairie View A&M University, excellence lives within autistic Black people.
Let's give another round of applause for the excellent job that these orators are doing. It takes a lot of work and skill to come up and just give a piece in front of everybody. So I just definitely wanted to acknowledge the greatness that is partaking right now. Next up, we have a senior teacher education major, Miss Christen Montgomery.
Art is the revolution. It is often noted that art resembles reality, that it reflects and it exposes. However, art is not a simple reflection of reality. It is a producer of reality. Time and time again, we see that our liberators and our artists are one and the same. That our authors like Angela Davis are also the leaders of our movements like the Black Panther Party. That our rappers like Nipsey Hussle are also the founders and funders of Black education initiatives. Art is the essence of revolution. The revolution will not be televised. Words of Jill Scott Heron, poet, musician, writer, artist, liberator. The revolution will not be televised. A call for initiation from each individual rather than reliance on a system. We've been fighting for 400 years, and we will fight for 400 more if we do not realize we are the change makers, that we need to be the policemen and the politicians and the educators. Mr. Heron demonstrated that the power is in the people rather than the small group of elites that govern them. Music not only fuels protest, but it also encourages breakthrough. Lauryn Hill, favorite artist of mine, she has a song titled, I Gotta Find Peace of Mind. It's revolutionary not because of its catchy chorus, but because of its content. It advocates for addressing internal insecurities and mental agonies and learning to grow from them. Black mental health is a tool of the revolution because it ensures that the traumas I have, my child won't have. The traumas my mama had, I don't have. An expression continuously overlooked is the expression of the constructor, those who build, mold, and craft works of beauty that highlight qualities of their community. One constructor is a seamstress that goes by J. Gerald. She's a part of the Black arts movement of the 1960s. In 1969, she formed a piece called the Revolutionary Suit. She combined Black pride with militant wear to form a garment of both politics and artistry. When asked why craft clothing for the revolution? She said, I just wanted to show my people that, quote, we're in a real revolution, end quote. She uses art to incite courage and mental preparation in a fight yet to cease. While some artists like Miss Gerald use their art as an encouragement of revolt, others use it as an emphasizer of joy. Case in point, Ernie Barnes. He conducted an exhibition of his work titled The Beauty of the Ghetto, showing that what you call ghetto, I call beautiful. What you call urban, I call culture. In this exhibition, he featured a painting called The Sugar Shack. You may be familiar. It may be in your auntie's house or your grandma's house. I know it's in mine. Sugar Shack features a portrait of Black men and Black women in a jazz lounge, enjoying each other's company, nothing more, nothing less. By highlighting joy in his work, Mr. Barnes engaged in the promotion of a significant emotion, hope. Hope is what gives liberators the willpower to continue their fight. Because why would I fight if I feel that my children will endure exactly what I've endured? Why would I fight when I have no hope? Just as construction plays its role in highlighting joy, as does film. You may know Spike Lee, John Singleton. You may know Victoria Mahoney. Today you will learn Jerry Jenkins, most known for his roles producing If Beale Street Could Talk and Moonlight. His film catalog shares the common theme of displaying Black love and Black intimacy. I'd say Black love and Black intimacy are the greatest tools of the revolution because they pose a recall to history when we only had each other, a form of remembrance that progression has occurred through cohesion and through collaboration, because after all, a house divided will fall without input from an oppressor. His film, If Beale Street Could Talk, was based on the James Baldwin novel. It follows a couple who has conflict with society, with the justice system, and with relatives who are sometimes worse than the oppressor. They were able to continue their fight because of their love and because of their hope. He demonstrates that without love, there is no glue that brings communities together in peace nor in protest. In the words of civil rights leader and Congressman John Lewis, the movement without storytelling is like birds without wings. And what is a bird if it cannot fly? And what is a movement if it cannot move? Film is a powerful tool of revolution because it integrates music, like that of Lauryn Hill, and literature, like that of James Baldwin, and visual art, like that of J. Gerald, to compose a narrative. They who control the narrative can have the power to impose belief on the viewer. When we control our narrative, we have the power to impose the belief that we are beautiful, that we are educated, and that we are capable. Art does not imitate the revolution, nor do artists mimic activism. Art is the revolution. Black art is not a simple mirror of human action and interaction or a portrait of oppression conducted by the oppressor, Rather, it stands as a magnifying glass, causing people, you and me, to reanalyze how our behaviors contribute to the progression of our community. Creative movements are fuel for the fire of initiation. They have caused and continue to cause the unification of African Americans through their portrayal of beauty and intimacy, through their expression of joy and grief, and most importantly, Black art liberates through a demonstration of what this group of resilient beings is capable of overcoming. Y'all have a good evening.
What is the movement without moving, y'all? Come on now. We got to recognize there's no Black culture without that Sugar Shack. Come on now. Okay, so next up we have another senior mechanical engineering major, Mr. Craig Rothschild.
Let me begin by acknowledging a truth that we all share. We are here today because of bravery. Each of us carries within us history, that legacy of those who paved the way before us for true liberation. For example, Dr. Martin Luther King in his iconic speech, "I Have a Dream." We all know those words have power, and they hope and inspire us. I remember as a kid watching Our Friend Martin, an animated movie with my sisters, dozens of times. And it felt like Martin was my friend. And I thought, like, I don't want Martin to go back in time and die. I want him to be here and keep on fighting the fight that he's fighting. Dr. King is famously known and highly recognized for his contribution to the movement of liberation, and that which has stayed with me since then. He deserves this acknowledgement. But what about those who also contributed to this movement and dealt with the same mistreatment? Tonight, I want to talk about those individuals who also dealt with abuse, mistreatment, and misuse as well. But through the power of art, transcended and inspired and gave hope to their people. In the realm of music, jazz artists like Duke Ellington poured his soul into songs like Black, Brown, and Beige, delivering tales of struggle and resilience for African Americans. Aretha Franklin, the queen of soul, with the song Respect, an anthem for civil rights and for women empowerment. Ellington and Franklin not only spoke about the struggles, but they also uplifted their community, transcending that pain into power. In the realm of literature, the truth, with Langston Hughes and Alice Walker being the truth tellers. Hughes' poetry told the truth about African American life, while Alice Walker, on the other hand, The Color Purple, which was later introduced into a film by Steven Spielberg. She exposed racism, sexism, and domestic abuse. Instead of opting to bow down and belittle the struggle, she opted to rise against it. And by rising against it, she triumphed for a better tomorrow for her people and also women. Now, even in agriculture, even in architecture, Paul Williams built monuments to last the test of times. Williams designed homes for very wealthy people. These wealthy people were considered Hollywood elites. He built elegant homes, but he felt as though he didn't equivalent or meet their standards. It was separate from him. Being separate, he wasn't able to live in those communities that he built. They looked at him as a Negro. Now, although he had the resources to stay where he wanted, he was pushed to stay somewhere that was less desirable, where resources aren't there. But he didn't stop there. Williams opted to help his community by building a church and youth centers for his people. Unfortunately, Williams passed away. That very church that he built was where his funeral was hosted. But the irony of it, though, is that that church still remains here to this day because it was built to last. Now, as we reflect on these artistic contributions, let us not forget the power of African American culture. Through this alone, these artists have carved a path to true liberation for a better tomorrow. They have made something strong of their sorrow. I'd like to thank you for your time and your attention. This concludes my oral presentation. I am Craig Rothschild, Senior Mechanical Engineer at The Hill. Thank you.
Indeed, indeed. And last but not least, we have a sophomore computer science major, Miss Mariah Williams.
The Black artist is dangerous. Black art controls the Negro's reality, negates negative influences, and creates positive images. Quoted by Black American poet and literary trailblazer, Sonia Sanchez. Since our forced arrival in 1619, the African American arts have dominated the fine arts world and have always been desired and adored internationally. However, it is also constantly discredited, unvalued, and inappropriate. A multitude of influential Black artists have encountered mistreatment and further their careers and perfect their craftsmanship while also witnessing the same persecution against the Black community. Regardless of their adversity, Black creators in music, film, literature, or any other art forms endured and managed to alter their pain and suffering into masterpieces that further liberated themselves, the Black community, and caused art to play a vital role in Black survival. Artists like a pioneering and filmmaker by the name of Gordon Parks, who utilized his images to humanize Black people in a society where we were once considered property, exhibit the cruelness of racism, and capture moments in time that dismantled negative racial stigmas. Parks' upbringing consisted of living through the Jim Crow era, fearing for his life, facing homelessness and abandonment, and encountering a near-death experience by almost drowning from being thrown in a river by bigoted white adolescents, assuming he could swim. He witnessed and experienced maltreatment and inhumanities exerted on Black Americans daily, and was still able to reform his feelings of distress, emotional exhaustion, and agony into the lenses of his camera that revitalized the image of Black America. In response to the racism that attempted to drown and kill him, Parks expresses, "I picked up my camera because it was my choice of weapons against what I hated most, the universal racism, intolerance, and poverty." Artists like Billie Holiday, who was a Black musical icon trailblazing the jazz and blues genre with renowned songs such as God Bless the Child, Solitude, and Formidably Strange Fruit. A daunting and dismaying lament that forces the audience to acknowledge the extreme violence and torture frequently perpetrated on African Americans, with verses such as Black bodies swinging from the southern trees. Due to her vivid and melodic message, Holiday was met with heavy backlash and was even harassed by the U.S. government. Despite their attempts to frame her with drugs or halt her performances, Holiday proceeded to perform Strange Fruit and advocate for the countless forgotten, lifeless black bodies killed at the hands of injustice, up into her premeditated murder. These creators and several others all faced personal and communal hardships throughout their artistic journey and converted their agony into creative wonders. The creator, the greatest artist of all time, formed and breathed life into our black bodies, making us his masterpieces. We are the embodiment, the definition of art. It is in our nature. So when we are treated like dirt and are toiled into the ground through abuse and watered by brutality and shined on by dehumanization, expressions of art grow and rise out of the pain and suffering for many to watch, feel, and admire. Through the strokes of a paintbrush, the molding of a sculpture, or the note of a tune, black art maintained life and sustained it. According to the dictionary, art is defined as the expression of human creativity and imagination. However, what the dictionary does not mention is how this very expression of human creativity and imagination can come to life. The ancestors who were taken away from their homeland, stripped of their identity, and treated like animals still saw freedom on the horizon. So they wove it into their quilts, weaving magnificent tapestries in the form of signals pointing to liberty, interlaced it into their hair, creating pathways and directions leading to emancipation, or embedded it into their melodies, constructing tunes that could call to freedom. These are all forms of art created by black hands from the emotions brewed from oppression and injustice. These indications show that black art is directly linked to black survival and will continue to be a life source and the heartbeat of the community for as long as we live. Isn't that so? We are the dangers of the black artist Sonia Sanchez speaks of. These artistically prominent men and women used their artistic talents to extricate black people when the odds were stacked against them. They broke barriers, conquered mountains, not just for themselves, but also for their brothers and sisters suffering just as they were, creating masterpieces so influential and compelling that they powered movements and revolutions such as the Harlem Renaissance and the Black Arts Movement that broadcasted an insurgence of African American art while simultaneously dismantling systemic racism creatively. I humbly ask of you today, let not their triumphs be forgotten and their work be pushed under an umbrella of just simply pleasure and entertainment. But let them be seen as a beacon of hope and a display of tenacious ambition that maintains, supports, and uplifts black lives. The legendary Alice Walker once said, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. So what will you do with your power? How will you turn your pain and suffering into a masterpiece and paint it on your canvas of life? Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for all of our contestants. Yes, so as we draw to a close, we will go into a musical interlude and let the judges deliberate.
right, so we featured Jafet Jimenez on tenor saxophone, Alexandra Farmer on alto saxophone, Gerard Henry on tenor, Jacob Nelson on trombone, and Mr. Mirandy Johnson back there on trumpet.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay. If everybody could make your way back to your seats, we are getting ready for the presentation of winners and the closing remarks. So I would like to formally introduce the director of the Toni Morrison Writing Program, Provost Emerita and Professor Miss Joanne Thomas Smith.
Were they outstanding or were they outstanding? I mean, how does it can't get gooder than this, huh? I tell you, this is amazing. This is amazing. At this juncture, we're gonna jump right in here, and I couldn't call it. I don't know about you guys. I couldn't call it. So thank goodness we have judges. Judges, you had a job. We were wondering how much longer you were going to be out there. So we'll be here till tomorrow waiting for the results. Okay, well, I guess I'm ready. We can imagine a drum roll. And this is the 10th anniversary of the essay oratory contest. And African Americans and the arts. And we decided to change it a little bit. African Americans and the arts. What is it? Bearing pain, finding joy. Okay. Mr. Tabulator. This is Dr. Nathan Mitchell. Political science. Be Global Director. Well, I guess I start with the runners up. Okay. And I come on up to the third, and then the second, and then the third. All right.
Okay, so
honorable
mentions.
Okay.
By the way, this was really, really tight. The all scores within like tenths of points.
Oh my God!
Because they were so, and then we did have a tie for the top place that they really, really, really had to debate on. That's what took us so long. So. These are the honorable mentions.
All right. All right. The two persons, and I'll do it in alphabetical order. The two persons who were in the honorable mention category. First one is Allonah Ashworth, the sophomore in psychology. And the second is Craig Rothschild, senior mechanical engineer. Would you all come forward? There's no, okay. Come forward, come forward, come forward. All right. Congratulations. Congratulations, congratulations. All right. Oh, yeah. We didn't hand it to you right this minute, but you got it. You'll be getting $1,000. Cash. And Miss Jadonna, don't forget now, you're going to have to, before we leave here, you got to tell them about the W-9, Uncle Sam has to get his piece. This is real cash money, you guys. So you have to pay taxes on it. All right, now we go to the third place. In third place in this 10th anniversary contest is Christen Montgomery, a senior in teacher education. Congratulations, congratulations. All right.
Uh-huh.
Once again. And we go to second place in this contest. Oh, he said bring them both up, and he'd be in suspense. I'm going to bring up in alphabetical order. I'm going to bring up Bertrice Askew, and I'm going to bring up Mariah Williams. Congratulations, congratulations. And now what's what? Anybody? Any guesses? Any? All right. Let me go to the script here. All right. Place 2 is Mariah Williams, $2,500. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right, don't spend it all on one thing now. And left standing on the stage, none other than Miss Bertrice. I look at that, go, Bernice said Bertrice. Bertrice Askew. She takes the place. She's a queen. Zeke, you can just retire and it's from, okay, she's got it. Right. And this is for, I could use this to pay a couple car notes and things. It's some pretty good money, you guys. I mean, Freddie, $3,000. Your parents don't be so proud. All right. Thank you. All right. Okay, let's bring them all back up here. Come on back up here. We can expedite this. Bring them all up here. Okay. First 1, 2, 3, and then we'll bring in 4 and 5. You do the. You got them. Wonderful. I'm not going to keep you. You've been here. You've been very patient. The very fact that you didn't go to Apollo, but you came here, because this is where the real Super Bowl was, right? Yes. Again, let's again give a round of applause to our students who were competing in this contest. They've all done so well. You know, when you see this, you feel that this world is in pretty good hands. Pretty good hands. You don't worry so much. But I do want to make one announcement, and that has to do with the inauguration of our new president, Dr. Tamikia P. LeGrand. We will open the inauguration on the 19th of March. And what's significant about that is we're actually doing something called the Bench by the Road. It's Toni Morrison. Some of you know that our writing program is named for Toni Morrison, and that Toni Morrison won a Nobel Prize and a whole lot of other. I mean, she's just a legend, and it has inspired so many writers, so many of these young people. And I think it's important that we're getting that Bench by the Road, because she talks in her acceptance speech, the Nobel Prize. She talked about the fact that African American history was not only was it lost, stolen, strayed, whatever, strayed, stolen, but that it was considered insignificant, unimportant. And she said, though, that it is up to us as a people to make sure that that is not the case. And she talked about how there's no skyscraper, there's no big monument anywhere, no big place, nothing named necessarily that tells you when you see that reflects the contributions of a people that many of whom were mentioned in your pieces tonight. And so there ought to be a place where you contemplate, where you sit, where you think, where you reflect, where you honor, admire, and plan, and based on what has happened, know that the future can be even brighter. Prairie View is unique because Prairie View was founded because of legislation that was passed by two people, was promoted by and pushed to be passed during Reconstruction. That little brief little period in there when you thought you were going to be free, it didn't last. And Jim Crow said, oh, wait, hold the phone. So when Jim Crow said, hold the phone, it was over. But during that little period in there, an interlude in history, you know what happened. Mr. Gaines and Mr. Holland were the two people who said, in response to, we need to have a school for the white boys in Texas. Texas A&M is the school that became the school for white boys in Texas. And so those two gentlemen want to know, well, what about the colored boys? Well, what about colored youth in general having schooling? So that's the beginning of public schools, free public schools for African Americans, and higher education. Prairie View being the second oldest public institution of higher education in the state of Texas. So we want to recognize that, and I'm seeing that the way the inauguration is being put together, it recognizes the past, celebrates the present, and projects the richness of the future. So we will be having that ceremony, the Bench by the Road. We won't actually place it over there in the Gaines Holland Park. We'll actually do all the stuff initially in the Opal Johnson Auditorium at 10:30 on the morning of the 19th. So just want to let you know, kind of pass the word, because, if we don't take charge, some of you were at the launch of Dr. Simmons' book, Up Home, and the person I brought in to interview her, Juliana Richardson of the History Makers, she said, if you lose the opportunity to chronicle, to digitize, to make sure you recognize and you preserve the history of this century, it's over. Nobody's going to, it's over. It's over. And so, hey, the onus is upon us. So we have to, we can go to the Apollo stuff and enjoy it. But got to realize that when you come out, there's a real world out here still. So you can go to Apollo, but you better go to vote too. Yes, absolutely. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I also want to thank my team. When you look at this program and you're able to see, man, it takes that many people to put on an essay oratory showcase. Yeah, because you see how much goes on in preparation for it. The hardest work, you guys did the work. You did the work. You did the hard work. Thank you. But next to that, you have people who are listed on here, and I really want to make sure that I mention some people who've been with this thing for a while, and they make sure it's perfect. I've got Miss Gay, so don't forget me. I'm over here, the librarian. She makes sure he helps you with your reference, your work. But also Dr. Nathan Mitchell, professor and director of the QEP, the Quality Enhancement Plan B Global. You've heard of it. Pushes. In fact, they're getting ready to go to Mexico. I think the students are going to Mexico from the B Global program. Was it next week or week after? When is it? Spring break. They'll be in Mexico. Ms. Tracy Moore, associate professor and interim director of art and digital media, the School of Architecture. Where's Tracy? Yes, and this is her work. This design. Always does design. She does the graphics for us when we launched the contest. Mr. Mark Phillips. Where's Dr. Mark Phillips? He was here. Yeah, Mark Phillips. He makes sure that we need music, whatever we need. He's there to support us and helps to get the word out. And John Starnes. So he's not in here. He's probably over the library working in CITS. But his supervisor is here. Where is she? Miss Stubblefield. Miss Stubblefield. Yes, she's. Oh, they got you doing labor now. All right, you're laboring in the field. And of course, she members of her team are in the back: Matthew Herrera and Jacob Gerard and Joey Longa. Okay, I probably missed somebody. And they're going to get mad at me. Dr. McGriggs, thank you for always being willing to help, and especially to these oratory judges. I mean, you guys, you still saying, I hope you're not scratching. I hope we did this right. I think you did. I mean, can you imagine? Just, I mean, not fractions, just little, yeah. And Dr. Bell came with the idea years ago of having the clinic. And I want to thank you for doing that, because many people write well, but they're a little uncomfortable about speaking in public. So he has this clinic. He gives them pointers. And he said to me tonight, he said, I can see they took what I told them to heart. I mean, I told them how to practice. They did what I said. And overnight, you just had the clinic last night at 6 o'clock. And you come in here today and you win stuff. Thank you, doctor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for always making sure your students are represented from your classes, Dr. Booker. Yeah. They had to go to Apollo. Again, thank you all, and good evening, and enjoy the rest of the evening, but also participate fully in the inauguration, particularly starting on the 19th. Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. Oh yes, the judges. Yeah, judges come up with pictures with the winners. Mm-hmm.